you should be quiet when it comes to moral condemnation. Ain't no half-stepping with Marcus J. Hey, look, I don't even know if that's a drop the mic moment, Grizz, if I ever heard one.
I mean, Mike Wallace dropped the mic. He ain't say too much after that.
What he gonna say?
He ain't got nothing to say after that. I mean, Farrakhan speaking from his truth. You know, Mike Wallace was asking questions from his truth. You know, the media likes to propagate America to be this end all to be all democracy, but I mean, we have Farrakhans in the world. We have other leaders in the world that speak out to some of the hypocrisy that they was talking about in this interview. And being that we're talking about race and we moved on from the police brutality that goes on in our community, and you said, like, you know, why do we as black folks always have to don't get the
benefit of the doubt?
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, we don't get the benefit of the doubt, and it's because of the hypocrisy that lies within the power structure in America. It's like, I can only imagine if I was on the other side of the fence, if I was rich or white, because I mean, those are the only two things that separate people in this country right now, is race and economics. You know, but if I got both of those going on myself and I'm living high on the hog and I'm looking down at the peons, I would want to hold on to that. I'll be afraid of everything. I would not want to let anything in to kind of threaten that, because that's my lifeblood line. That's for me, right. My seeds, my seeds. And that's how Mike Wallace's think. Right. This which makes America great. Right. And so anything that comes into that can challenge that, they feel, honestly,
absolutely threatened
they
about
feel
it.
Threatened like a mother.
No, I can dig it, man. And just to kind of piggyback on that, you know, I mean, you said it very, very clearly and concisely. And the only thing that I'll add is oftentimes, you know, we feel like as black people, if we say anything that is a direct criticism of our own, then we are against our own. And that is not true at all. You know, just because somebody white said it doesn't make it right. And just because somebody black said it doesn't make it wrong. Trust me, they ice ain't no more colder than ours. Amen. So, you know, you just have to be conscious and aware that you might be getting some truth from somebody that comes in a package a little bit different than the package that you used to seeing it in. And I think that anybody who listens to the words that we just heard from the Minister Louis Farrakhan right there, you know, whether you agree with him or not, I think an honest analysis of those words would find that there is definitely some truth to it. And like you said, Grizz, just because America said it doesn't make it right. How you think they feeling in some of these countries around the world when they see that there's something going on and America's involved? You know what I mean? Like, it's almost like how we do with the police. It's like, oh Lord, here they come. Here they come. You know, here they come.
They want that oil. I mean, oil.
You know what I'm saying? But the truth of the matter is, these are people, you know, going back to the police and even kind of looking at it holistically with America. I mean, police are trained to not trust you.
Yeah.
So they trained to not trust you. So when I listen to the words that the minister just gave us, even though I'm not the biggest fan of him, I think that he just spit some real honest truth, and I'm glad to be able to share that with our listeners. Ain't no half stepping with Marcus J, live from the den of Legacy Internet Radio. Thank you for everybody who's listening to us right now. We got you. We see you on TuneIn, and we see you listening to us on Legacy Internet Radio. We appreciate the lights on in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we appreciate the lights on in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the lights are on in Chicago, Illinois, and Los Angeles, California, and Richmond, Virginia, and Jersey City, New Jersey. We know you're out there listening because we see you checking in with yours truly, and we are very, very appreciative of your time here this evening. Ain't no half step with Marcus J, live from the den. 804-402-2893 is the number to dial. Diva, do you drink coffee?
No, but I'm a big tea drinker.
Okay. Toyana, do you drink coffee?
Absolutely. My caramel macchiato upside down with 2 shots from Starbucks. Woo woo.
So the upside down, you put this cream the whipped cream at the bottom?
Yes.
Jay Grizz.
I used to, man.
Do you drink coffee?
I used to, not no more. My stomach can't take it.
Okay, well, Toyana, that means I'm coming to you first because, like me, you're the only one here that drinks coffee. Starbucks, even though they're not paying us, Starbucks found themselves on the news. I'm getting this one from Washington Post, but it's on the news wire. When I initially decided to do this story, there was a update that I did not have that I have since gotten. And so I will leak that update here as we kind of do the discussion. But the reason why I wanted to bring this up is Starbucks has started a initiative last week called Race Together, where they were having you, instead of getting your name on the cups, they were having you write, or they were getting your race, and they were writing your race on the cup. And so for me, if it was Marcus J, they would put ugly black guy. And for you ladies, they would put, pretty black women. For Grizz, they would put disturbingly unattractive black guy. You know what I mean? And so, but in all seriousness, this is what they were doing. And quote, while there has been criticism of the initiative, and I know that hasn't been easy for us, let me assure you that we didn't expect universal praise. This is what CEO Howard Schultz said initially when this came out. The whole point of it was to spark debate, very similarly to what we do on this show, specifically here tonight. And so the thing that I didn't want to kind of allude to is the fact that they've decided to stop doing it. So they did it for a week, and it was supposed to go on for, a while, and they ended up stop doing it because they were running into their just being uncomfortable discussions. I don't know how they didn't see that coming, but that's what ended up happening. So Toyana, I'm going to come to you first. If you had gone to Starbucks at any point in the last week or in your life, if you hadn't seen it, then speak to me hypothetically, or speak to our listeners hypothetically. But how do you feel about them writing, black female on your cup, when you go to buy your, what is it, goofy little coffee drink with upside down creamers and
caramel,
stuff?
It's a caramel macchiato. Extra shot,
sounds really
upside
pretentious.
down,
Sounds
with
very,
extra caramel
sounds
too.
very pretentious, man.
It's really good, and you can do it hot or cold. Oh my gosh!
You think it's pretentious though?
How much you pay for that?
Yeah, I can't even finish.
It's like $70, man. But you know what? Starbucks makes me mad because when I go in there and I want a small coffee, they be like grande. Like no, grande means big.
Yeah, you need tall.
Tall means big, man. Don't
it's really
if I say small, give me a small.
I'm in the wrong.
And I always say small. And I know they want to be all
and then
weirdo with
and
it.
say tall.
And I say no, I want small.
A barista corrects you if you say small.
Yeah.
We're going to get back on the race thing with Starbucks. But the aloofness of Starbucks in and of itself.
It's out of control. But
it's out of control.
Yeah,
it's out of control. What you think?
I spent about $6 maybe on a coffee.
Get a Keurig.
But we do have a Keurig.
Yeah.
So, but I just think that, I have been in Starbucks recently, but I have not paid any attention to that, believe it or not. So I'm very shocked to hear that I don't know, what would you, if you saw me, what would you put on the cup?
I mean, you know what I would put.
What would you put
I
on
would
the
put,
cup?
I'd put black female.
You put black female?
Yeah.
Okay, what would you put on
Nubian
the cup?
sister.
Nubian sister. What would you put on the cup?
Go ahead, try.
Black Boricua.
I mean,
A black bougie.
Yeah, but you and I, we know we know that you have
I'm a mutt.
You have other ethnicities in you, but
yes.
when I first met you, I saw a sister. That's what I
saw.
saw.
A sister until you saw my mom and dad.
Until I met your mom and dad, and then I
all
actually
the
listened
other
to you
stuff.
talk, and then I heard like little mixes of Hispanic coming through
Just
the country.
all over the world, right?
no joke. But I mean, what do you think about this for real?
I find it disturbing that Starbucks had to do this type of shenanigan to get people interested. They don't have to do anything. They're Starbucks. You know what I mean? People will go and, just like myself, knowing good and well that a $5 coffee is ridiculous, but it's the convenience. It's Starbucks. It's the cup.
It's good.
It's good. It's their presentation. So they can say black monkey with red lipstick on my cup probably, and I will probably just still drink Starbucks coffee because of that. It's an addiction. Hello, I'm Toyana, and I'm addicted to
Starbucks coffee. Hakeem
coffee.
is checking in. He's saying, what up to the crew?
What up?
502 baby all day long. You're saying, what's up?
Hey.
Diva, what you think, man?
Well, you're gonna probably be a little surprised by my response. I got mixed, feelings about this. I feel like it is kind of racist, but it's kind of good at the same time because it has the capacity to spark, a racial discussion, social change. Now, they needed to have some kind of formalized discussion like we're having. Don't just pass me a cup that says black woman or female or N-word or whatever. We need to sit down and we need to have a conversation like this. Like there needs to be a facilitator there to discuss social, issues. Then I would say it would be beneficial. Otherwise, what is your purpose?
Maybe they think that black folks or other ethnicities besides Caucasians do not drink coffee on a regular basis.
No, they do. They know that. You can
Oh,
I'm sure
okay.
they put Asians and whatever else
Were
on
they
it.
writing on the cup or
Yeah, they
was
write
printed?
it on the cup.
Yeah, they was right.
I
They
didn't
was
see
just writing
that.
on them.
I think it's
I think
hashtag
Yeah,
race.
I
I've
mean,
been getting my little receipt.
It didn't last. Like, it lasted all of maybe 2 days.
It didn't last long, but I mean, I
you
actually,
beat down.
Right.
tend to agree with the diva. I mean, I'm just real big on having a discussion. Like I'm not
Me too.
I'm not the person who likes to run and hide behind the fact that I'm black and I'm pissed most of the time about the stuff that I see on the news. What really pisses me off is that honest white folk act like they don't see the shit. That's what really pisses me
They're
off.
gonna act like they don't see
like,
it.
Like that's what pisses me off most of the time. And for the ones who really see it, they don't want to talk about it. It makes them uncomfortable. And to be frank, I don't really care that you're uncomfortable because I live uncomfortable.
The only racial
I'm
conversation.
always uncomfortable. Every time I go someplace, I'm uncomfortable. And when I'm given the response of, well, we should all learn to live together. How about we all learn to live together for real? Not just in speech, but in practice.
So you're challenging
I
our brethren.
just like I come on this show and I challenge the brother who has his pants sagging and wants to use the N word every other word.
You challenge me all the
I
time.
challenge, people of my race and of my kind to do better. And honest white folk do better. Challenge the assholes in your race.
They can't do it.
They don't do it.
They don't. I can't say they can't do it.
Tim Wise does it. Tim Wise does it all the time.
Who is Tim Wise?
Tim
I
Wise.
don't even know.
Google
Yeah.
Tim Wise.
All right.
We don't have a lot of time to get into him now. But if you,
I'm sure there's some.
you've heard of Tim Wise, you just don't know his
Right,
name.
right.
Google Tim Wise.
Can I speak
he's
on
a
him?
he's a white dude who challenges
white folks.
Yes.
There's a lot of good white bleeding liberals out there, and I love them. To speak on the Starbucks thing, I mean, what I would say is, like, the best racial conversations I've had with people that didn't look like me was always over an alcoholic beverage. Liquor always kind of brings out,
truth.
it brings out the truth. And I've been at poker tables with white cops, with people that work white collar jobs, lawyers, doctors, things of that nature. And we openly sit down and talk race. Now, me being a funny guy, they kind of feel cool because they know I'm not going to put on the Malcolm X hat like Marcus and blow them out of the water. And so they feel comfortable and talk.
It's a them problem if they feel uncomfortable with
I know,
you.
but for me, that gets the conversation started, and that's what you say. That's what people say they want, is they want that open and honest conversation. What I will say when I do have those conversations is I say, well, you got a point that we can be a little ignorant when we're in the movie theater, and we get loud. But I say on the same respect, when it's 22 degrees outside, put some fucking clothes on.
But you know what the truth is, man? I just think that
Did I drop an F-bomb?
you dropped the F-bomb,
My
and
bad.
it went right over my head because I'm fired up just like you are. I mean, because the truth is, man, a lot of the stuff that happens in our communities happens in our communities. And it's bad. And it's unnecessary and all of that kind of stuff. But we operate under this assumption that other communities ain't got some stuff with them too.
Yeah, we know. Well, I think we all
You know what I
know.
mean? Like, did we
Right.
know that
Yeah.
they had a St. Patrick's Day brawl in New York City?
No, I didn't.
I knew because I read the New York Daily News because I grew up reading it because I grew up in the area. But
Right.
it wasn't on the mainstream news.
What was it at? In Manhattan?
It was in New York City, but you knew all about the brawl that happened in
Charlottesville.
in you knew all about the brawl that happened in the Waffle House here. You knew all
Oh, I
about
saw that.
you knew all about the brawl that happened in the McDonald's in New York City.
Yeah.
You knew all about that stuff. You seen the videos. I had people blowing my inbox up with that. Yes, I did. You going to talk about them black girls beating up? No, I'm not talking about
These
that.
were white folks that do this? That's inboxed you?
No,
Okay,
no,
I
no,
agree
no,
to say
no.
they don't feel that comfortable.
Not that one. Not
Okay.
that one. I had a couple of sisters who, and one of my Puerto Rican sisters inboxed me on the brawl in New York City,
Mm-hmm.
and then somebody else let me know about the one here in Richmond. But the point I'm making is, we want to talk about us beating up us. We want to talk about us wilding, but don't nobody want to talk about what went on in St. Patrick's Day.
I think it's, to speak to your point, I think it's because I can think of all the gunshot victims that I've actually physically seen, and none of them were white. All of them were brothers.
That's because you live in black neighborhood.
Right.
If you live in a white neighborhood, if you pull up the FBI statistics, you will see that they wild out just as much as you do.
I'm sure they do. So
man,
now that I'm older and well read,
there's some sort of weird. I don't want to use. Yeah, I'll use the word. You don't think there's some sort of conspiracy around the amount of coverage that is displayed on us doing dumb shit as opposed to other communities?
Oh, no doubt. We make
shit?
it very easy. Black folk make it very easy for the media, especially like the Foxes of the world, to go in and say, you see how they act? I'll use the Ferguson example. Even though Ferguson, we have every right in the world to protest peacefully, but you knew that there was some ignorant folks in that crowd that was going to set it off. I was all for protesting and everything because it was a wrong situation and let your voice be heard, but in New York, when they did it, it wasn't that much.
Yeah, but we also, just like I read the names of 20 black men who have been killed by police in the last 20 years, I also read 20 instances of white folks that were rioting for a variety of reasons. Many of them were based around their sports teams winning stuff.
Of course. I mean, we
didn't end up on the mainstream news.
We know it.
So that self-deprecating mentality is, I think, part of it. And I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to you or anybody who agrees with you. All I'm saying is, we act a damn fool. I wish they didn't put the camera in Sweet Brown's face, but you know what? That happens in
we got Honey Boo Boo, man.
There's Honey Boo Boo.
We get Honey Boo Boo.
There's Honey
That's
Boo
it.
Boo's mama. Ain't no hat stepping with Marcus J.
Mama
Live
Jane.
from the Den of Legacy Internet Radio. This next story, I want y'all to hear a clip, and we're gonna talk about what y'all are about to hear. Marcus J, Grizzy, Toyana, and Diva. Listen to this, and then we're gonna talk about it.
For that. Well, a school program in Virginia meant to honor Black History Month ended up pushing an anti-police message. According to our next guest, the event called Black Lives Matter featured an insert in the program's flyer that read, "Hands up, don't shoot," and featured readings with titles like, quote, "They don't really care about us." Rebecca is the mom of an 8-year-old student in the school district who performed with her class choir, and her husband, Charles, is a deputy sheriff. They join us now from Washington, D.C. We thank you both for being here. Rebecca, if you could just briefly walk us through here. You're there with your daughter. She's singing in the choir. You walk into this performance, and all of a sudden you realize that the content is not something that you would want her to be a part of. What was it?
Exactly. We came into the program. I delivered my daughter to the people who were going to take her back to the rest of the choir. My son and I paid for our tickets and went in. Everywhere that we looked were students, high school students, wearing shirts that said Black Lives Matter, I Can't Breathe. And I took my program and I sat down, and as I was flipping through the program, it had Hands Up, Don't Shoot. It had quite a few different acts that were what I was worried were going to be quite controversial. And I texted my husband and said, I don't know about this. This isn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. And he replied that I should pull our daughter and come home. And I said, she worked hard to sing in this program. These students have worked hard. I'm going to let her sing, and we're coming straight home. And when the first act began, last words, students started coming out on stage saying things. I'm from Ferguson, Missouri. I was told to put my hands up. I did, and I was shot 7 times. My name is Michael Brown. And I immediately realized that this was not something that was a good idea for my daughter to be seeing. And she had already seen all of it at a dress rehearsal the night prior.
Right, and you were not given any notice about this whatsoever?
No, we had no idea what it was going to be about. She was singing Motown medley, some various Motown songs,
Sure.
and we had no idea what the other acts were going to be about.
That's infuriating just as a parent in general to not be given notice on this. Charles, I want to ask you, there you are serving as deputy sheriff, and your daughter comes out questioning you. What did she say to your wife after this performance, and how did you feel upon hearing it?
A lot of students walked away with questions. My daughter had some very serious questions as to why do cops shoot black people, and why do cops shoot good people, and if they do that, does that make them a bad cop? And, Daddy, you're a cop, does that make you a bad cop? And it really took me off guard, and we really had to have a discussion with our daughter in great detail about current events that we should have never had to have had.
Right, or at least have been given notice so you could prepare for it. I mean, you can't prepare for everything in life, but and how personal it is with you serving in law enforcement. Here, the superintendent released a statement. She said, I support the young people when asked if this was a problem. They didn't show anger. They didn't show defiance. They kept a recurring theme that our lives matter. Is that satisfactory to you?
The response from the school board has not been satisfactory. I recognize that the students worked very hard to put on a presentation.
They did.
My argument is that it was not appropriate for elementary age students, and that knowing that it was going to be controversial material, we should have been notified as parents, and we were not. And there has been no apology. There has been no, this will not happen again. That needs to be done.
Yeah, and you need to walk out of there with your own daughter questioning your integrity and your work and what you do. It's disheartening to even hear that. Charles and Rebecca, we thank you for joining us today with this story. I'm sure it has people rallying around you today, and we're going to be getting a lot of emails on this. Thank you.
Steppin with Marcus J. Grizz. You had the strongest reaction as we listened to it. Before we get to that, let me get a couple of comments in from our listeners. Joy, she's alluding to the piece that we aired earlier with Minister Louis Farrakhan. She agrees with me. She doesn't normally agree with the minister, but she agrees with what he said. So she said, we ain't tripping. She also says that she used to love wrestling. She used to love Stone Cold. Redneck with some dude, which Stone Cold in his redneck glory is probably one of my top 5 favorites of all time. So I'm with you, Joy. Hakeem says some of what we just said in that last piece was true. When white cat sports teams win championships, we see them wild out. We also see them wild out over free trade meetings like they do in Europe and did in Seattle a few years back. So, so those are the comments from our listeners. Grizz, let's comment on what you just heard there. Man.
It's just nothing but white fear. That whole setup is almost like a joke, because I saw it from the setup, from the interviewer's point of view, to the deliverance of the joke by the interviewees. It's about, it's a play. It's a play about what is happening in the real world, about a kid, whether you think he was justifiably murdered or not. A kid died, and it's a play. It's not what is it? The fact, remember, and I'm going to tie in this point. Remember when the Obamas first got into office, and Michelle Obama said she wanted the kids in school to eat a healthy lunch, and most of middle America were an uproar saying, "Oh my God, this Negro woman trying to give our kids collard greens," and they was just having. And I'm like, "What? She just wants everybody to have. You might not like it. It's not something that you can give your kid whatever you want to give them because they're freaking fat." But what is the big uproar? Back to this, just to tie this in, it's fear, Marcus. It's the fear of the numbers, the census numbers are dwindling. The percentage in the voting electorate is dwindling. People are jumping across the border. I'm not jumping across the border, but the America is becoming more diverse as the majority Caucasian population dwindles down. Again, if I'm living on Park Avenue in my penthouse, I'm making 6-7 figures, and my world is very secluded. I'm segregated from all of the poor people and the people of color, and me and mine's got it real good. But all around me, I see this world that I thought I had good is closing in on me. And I done had it like this ever since the Pilgrims landed on the Mayflower. I had it like this. I would naturally be deathly afraid.
You'd be afraid as well. Toyana, you giving us the face. What you think?
Okay. What the hell, Marcus? You just got me.
What the hell?
This is what I
my
do. I
gosh,
told
this
you
is
when
a
you came here
this
that
is
you was gonna
some-
get pissed off tonight, right? Did
This
it
is
work?
some stupidness.
When's the last time I told you something didn't work
I
out the
know,
way I
right?
said, sister?
Okay, look.
First of all, she
First
don't like
of all,
talk about the Hasselbeck hoe.
I can't stand her. I'm glad
You
she's
know,
off the view.
I don't want to talk
I'm
about. I want to
surprised
talk
she
about
even
her.
has
Let's
a
talk about the
job.
interview. I don't want to talk about
Yeah,
her.
she's. But anyway, for clarification, was this not solely for the purpose of celebrating Black History?
Black
Was
History
that
Month.
okay? So number one, Caucasian family. The month of February, it should be every month, believe it or not. But you gave us 1 month.
Thank you.
But that 1 month says Black History. So anything that's African American or even to the color black is going to be discussed in all the days of the month of February. Now you cheated us the first week. No one said anything about Black History.
Because it was Super Bowl
Because it
week.
was Super Bowl week. You almost cheated us on the second week. I think we
All-Star weekend.
Yeah, All-Star. We got distracted. So the kids got to make up something. Now, I am shocked.
Y'all crazy as hell for saying that mess. I'm gonna let y'all.
And it was a blizzard.
I'm gonna let y'all.
Right, the
I'm
snow.
gonna let y'all go with that
And then you
nonsense.
have school.
Go ahead.
But I am shocked that this mother, who seemed to be so engrossed in what her child is doing, does not know, like, oh my God, I'm so surprised that Becky is singing some Waka Flocka with Weezy. Oh my God, what is this? I need to call my husband.
Internet gonna get
Are
him.
you serious? Are you serious to where our kids for the other 11 months have to study and practice and recite just American history, which is predominantly white?
Shakespeare.
I'm baffled.
Sonnets.
That's the word I can only say right now, Marcus, because in the school system, and you know I work in education, parents like that, and Marcus, that is not an act. They do.
He was real.
That's a real family, and thank God they covered their child's face, because I would be an embarrassed child if my parents were on national television about this.
You know what the wife did? The wife said, I text the husband. The husband said, y'all better get up out chill.
Yeah, Diva, what you think?
Oh, Marcus, you're burning me out here with all this race relation stuff.
So what?
I agree with Toyana in that I was thinking the exact same thing. Like, you're such a great parent, but you don't know that your child's involved in this Black History play, and you just think that she's singing Motown songs. Okay, but they're not going to talk about any black issues. They're not going to talk
They
about
don't want to.
anything. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on. If you're such a great parent, you should have been at the rehearsals. You should have known what was going on, and it shouldn't have been such a shock.
And wait a minute, this elementary, right?
Yeah, it was
Now
elementary.
I work with high school. Have you worked with elementary?
I worked with all levels.
Okay, so help me understand the parent, because I know in high school level the parent is like, you do what you want to do.
Right. I also was thinking from the perspective of they are elementary school. It is kind of young to expose them to all of this.
To Black History Month?
Well, not Black History, but the whole, I'm Mike Brown, I got shot 17 times, murdered in the
truth.
street.
The truth.
It's the truth, but it may be a
Never hide
little
nothing from the
sensitive
kid.
for your little 5-year-old. You know what I mean?
So did we go to the same elementary school? Did you go to Fox?
Yes.
Okay.
sir.
I remember in Fox, come Thanksgiving, we had to do the Indian and the Pilgrim play.
Right.
And I did that. How come my mama how come Fox or whoever didn't come holler at my mama and say, was you offended because you did Indians and Pilgrims? I don't understand. I do understand why the parents are like that. And
Right.
again, that's my answer to my response to the whole thing is fear.
But Black history, for those who understand, Black history is not just about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and Harriet Tubman. There were other important African Americans who were inventors, educators, all the way down to
Chicken farmers.
Chicken farmers, there you go. But it bothers me because I taught 2nd through 6th grade, and I had kind of similar, not a play, but I had my kids pull out names of various. I had the book of the 1,000 famous African Americans you should know. And one of my little Caucasian students pulled out Marcus Garvey.
Good
And
for him.
she got all up in it, enjoyed it and everything. Mom,
Daddy whooped her ass.
no,
when she got home.
Mom wasn't even upset about that. She wasn't upset. She was like, you put the name in the hat. Is there a reason why? And I had to show her.
Hold on, she asked you?
Yeah, the mother asked me why did her daughter pick the name out of the hat? But I had to show the mother. First of all, Marcus Garvey is not a make-believe character in a fictional book. This person actually existed, and this is what he did. Now, if you don't want her to learn about him, it's understood.
Take her home.
But the mom didn't. The mom let her daughter know about Marcus Garvey.
Good.
Now, what that young lady is today, I hope she's doing great.
You can wrap up after I say
But we
this.
had parents that were a little bit more
I'm gonna make
understanding.
it weird quick.
But these parents today, I don't get them.
Let me tell you one thing, and I'll just wrap this up for Marcus take it back. I was a history major in college, and I do a lot of history stuff now. I know more about white history than I do about black history.
Oh, I do too, and I'm not a history.
I know white history like up and down, backwards, forwards. You give me a date,
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you about the Battle of Hastings in 1066. Take it away,
That's
Marcus.
what was taught to us.
All right, I'm gonna take last word on this one.
Still talk.
Couple things that I want to address before we move on to the fun part of the show, which is the Diva Diaries, while we have the Diva here, the relationship segment. So I'm going to take the final word on this segment, and y'all just kind of allow me just a minute to jump up on my soapbox. Basically, let me just say this about Black History Month. Carter G. Woodson founded Black History Month. It started off as Black History Week. And the students at Kent State University in the 70s decided that they wanted to expand it. It was Black History Week because Frederick Douglass as well as Abraham Lincoln's birthdays were in February, second week of February, which is the reason why that was the week. And then it was eventually expanded to a month. So it does kind of irk me a little bit when I hear people say they only give us 1 month and it's the shortest month. So that's the first thing. The second thing is, I didn't think that this was a good Black History program just because having the kids standing up there saying, hands up, don't shoot. I just didn't think that was very productive. It was whoever the teacher was who presented that or produced it or whatever the word I'm missing, that teacher had an agenda, and that teacher's agenda played out in the play or whatever it was. I'm gonna say more, but I'm gonna get a couple of comments in. Anonymous is listening. Anonymous said that they watched part of the video, but got a little annoyed at the part where they said hands up, don't shoot. I'm from Ferguson. This person says that Fox has people of all races. The school isn't teaching the students. The school is spreading information that's proven false and making the child worry that their daddy is a bad person. This person would withdraw their child from school. His hands wasn't up. Well, this person kind of gets into the Michael Brown thing, and I'm not going to debate Michael Brown and that case with this person. So I'm going to stop here. Kim says that she understands the parents' perspective in general. Programming in schools is sensitive nature, should be discussed with the parents. Sex, religion, police brutality, homosexual relations are things that she'd want to be notified about. To be fair, the parents didn't seem to be saying they didn't want the child to participate in Black history, that it was an issue with the content. The fact that their father is a police officer makes it more complicated because now she's looking at her daddy sideways. However, the reality is Black parents have to have this conversation with their children at a very young age all the time. How old was Tamir Rice? 12? Very, very good point. And just to kind of finalize what I was going to say there, I mean, I didn't think that this was a good opportunity, a good platform to do that. I mean, if you want to teach Black history, like Toyana said, we can talk about my namesake, Marcus Garvey, who was said to be a crazy person and lived his dying days in exile because he was trying to tell Black folk to go back to Africa where you can actually be free instead of in the Western world where you ain't, no matter what they tell you. You know what I mean? And so white folk got so crazy about that they put him in the crazy house. You know what I'm saying? So, and I know about Black history because I want to know about Black history. And so I'm not giving any Black person a pass, and I'm not taking a shot at you, Grizz. I'm just saying, you know, any Black person who wants to give me they only give us the shortest month, I can't go there with you, because if you really, really want to know, and I know everybody in this room is intelligent enough, y'all know, but there's plenty of people who really feel strongly about that.
About the month,
about the fact that, you know, there's not a lot of Black history out there. I mean, the truth of the matter is, if you really, really want to know, then you can go out there and find it. And you cannot expect to learn everything that you need to know in the first 18 years of your life, most of which are spent trying to get some, if you a dude. And so you cannot expect to learn everything that you're going to learn in high school, history. So if you're a Black person and you want to know from which you came, then you need to do the knowledge and find out from whence you came. And you know, I'm Steppin with Marcus J. Live from the Den Legacy on that radio. We're taking a break. Come back. We got Diva Diaries. Stay with us.